London Coffee Festival is back. After 2 years of disruptions and online events, it's finally back in place, in person, for real, at the Old Truman Brewery in Shoreditch, London, just down Brick Lane. So I've been a couple of times before. It's been a long time since I've actually physically been. I did watch a few of the online events last year, but this year GetBeamed.com actually got an industry ticket. So I went down on the first day that it officially opened, so that would have been Thursday, 31st of March, to check it out basically. So the first 2 days, the Thursday and the Friday, are industry days. So if you're a barista, if you're a coffee shop owner, if you're trying to flog something, and if you're in the press, which I guess technically that's what we come under, you can apply for tickets and go and see what's on the first 2 days, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, Sunday, that's when it opens up to the general public, and y'all can go down and check out what's happening in the coffee industry, in the coffee scene in London. So I thought I'd throw together a beginner's guide to the London Coffee Festival for those of you thinking of going, for those not knowing what to expect, and basically just show you a few things of what to expect and what's on. First things first, know what to expect. So the Old Truman Brewery is an event space on 3 floors, and the Coffee Festival uses all of that space. So it can be quite overwhelming to the first time visitor. There's a lot of exhibitors, a lot of roasters, a lot of people trying to sell stuff. But there are also events like the British Coffee Masters. So there is an event on the ground floor where basically the best of the best baristas in the country, or around Europe and beyond, I suppose, are competing to win the British Coffee Masters. They do things like cupping, so taste testing different coffees, latte art, how do you present your coffee, how do you make your own recipe. They all submit their own recipes. So depending on which day you go, or if you go all days, you can view different competitors doing different things, and that's worth checking out. There's also live music on, I think, one of the middle floors. There is a big kind of sit-down space where you can eat and drink coffee, and then there's usually a DJ or live music playing, which is really good fun. And then on the top floor, you'll have the roasters kind of village, I believe they call it. So there's loads of different roasters, all trying to get you to try their kind of different coffees. So we'll come back to that in a second. But those who have something unique or something a bit special will usually be there to try and encourage you to buy this, new coffee or whatever they're doing. This year, our friends over at Sustain Coffee were there. They gave us a little wave. Didn't manage to talk to them, unfortunately, this year, because they were working with, I think, 90 Plus Coffee, and people were going mad for it. And, I didn't want to kind of get into that kind of crowd there, just because, they're selling to people at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, I'm just there to make content. So it was nice for them to, Mr. Ature to give us a wave. But I didn't bother them. But it is worth kind of being prepared for that amount of people and knowing what's on. So a lot of people kind of ask me, is it all just ticketed events? Because the way it's sort of marketed, they kind of, the coffee festival says, oh, book this event now, book X event, book Y event, once you've already got tickets. You don't have to do that. Once you've got your ticket, you're in, you can just go and see the exhibitors, you can see what coffee they're offering, and just wander around, and that will take up more than a few hours anyway. But I feel if you really want to get the most out of it, look into the events that are on. They quite often have so this year they had a food and coffee pairing event, so you could pair coffees with different foods, different flavours, different textures. They quite often have kind of test your latte art skills, which obviously isn't aimed at baristas who can do that. So there's Latte Art Live as well, which is an event where they show you how to do it and you can test your hand at that. There's so many different things, and depending on the year, one year there was coffee and chocolate pairing. Amazing. So do look at what events they've got on, what days they're on, and book those extra tickets if you want to get the most out of it. But you don't have to. Once you've got your ticket, the exhibitors are going to be more than enough. But just know, be prepared for the crowds. It is going to be busy. It's always busy. I've been on a VIP ticket, I've been on a regular ticket, and I've now been on an industry ticket, and every time it's busy. Now the distinction between regular and VIP industry, they don't really care. They're just like, yeah, you're in, off you go, which is fair enough. You don't pay for it, so well, hey. Well, VIP is great because VIP comes with a little goodie bag. Yeah, a little tote bag that says London Coffee Festival. You can buy those tote bags if you don't buy a VIP ticket, but why would you? But it's filled with stuff, so you get, you know, the last couple of times I went on a VIP ticket, you get a little book of London coffee shops to check out, and you get some free samples, and you get loads of cool stuff. So if you do have the money, I'd recommend going VIP. Is it worth the money? That's really up for you to decide. But VIP also has a nice little quiet area that you can just go and sit and enjoy a coffee and get away from the chaos, which you don't particularly have with other tickets. And it's an all-day ticket, whereas previously they're kind of timed. They kind of go, oh, you're in for this amount of time or whatever. So yeah, be prepared. Do look up what events they've got on. Do look up who's exhibiting, and just make a plan of how you're going to deal with it. Because like I say, otherwise you're just wandering around aimlessly, which is great fun if you've got the time and it's a nice day and you're just there to enjoy the scene. But you can cut out a lot of time just by knowing where things are. So they will give you a little map upon entry, and it will show you all 3 floors and tell you who's exhibiting on them. And then on the back it's got the events that you can book, as well as things like the Coffee Masters that I just mentioned, and various other things that you can drop in. What I will say is, I'm not going to say it's not a great map, but it is hard to navigate around the place anyway. So if you know where things are ahead of time, that's a bonus. So yeah, just be prepared, know what you're looking for, and you can cut out time by, for example, I know I'm not going to spend time at the tea exhibitors. There's always some tea exhibitors, and I can just go, no. Yeah, I don't mind tea, but I'm not into specialty tea, I'm into specialty coffee. Also, some years they've had some big brands, whom I won't name, exhibiting there that I've just avoided like the plague. So yeah, know what to expect, be prepared, and you're already onto a winner. Secondly, I'm going to say take a bag. Now this may sound kind of counterproductive in such a place with crowds, and you know, you're going to be jostled and whatnot, and people just, you know, are going to knock you about, and you have to accept that as part of the parcel. No one's aggressive, everyone's there for the same reason, but there's a lot of people and limited space. But if you take a bag, you can get so much free stuff. Free samples, you get, so I got Caffeine Magazine, latest Caffeine Magazine. If you pick up the goodie bag with the VIP ticket, you get loads of stuff anyway. And take money for decent cups, decent coffee. We'll circle back around to that, because you can spend the whole day just on free coffee. But you may want to buy a bag of coffee as one you've tried. You can get t-shirts of the event. You can even buy art. So there's this fantastic thing called the Coffee Art Project, where up and coming artists are tasked with creating art around kind of the coffee industry, around promoting equality and whatever else through the coffee industry. And there's some really interesting pieces on the theme of coffee, and there's some really interesting pieces that utilize coffee, that utilize coffee water, that utilize coffee grounds. And there's a fantastic little kind of gallery section on the top floor just to check out this art, and if one piece takes your fancy, you can take it home. So that's really cool. So take a bag and take enough money. Make sure you're well prepared. Number 3, a keep cup is your best friend. Now, there's going to be a lot of people offering you samples of coffee, or a lot of roasters kind of going, try this coffee, try that coffee. Great. They've all got the little London Coffee Festival, like recyclable coffee cups. Excellent. But if you have your own keep cup, it just saves that extra, and it's just going to be your friend. Throughout the day, you can just go, oh, fill that up, please. Amazing. Some won't do it because they're still not kind of happy with COVID protocols and whatever, which is fine. But this will save a lot of paper in the long run. If you don't have a keep cup are usually there themselves exhibiting, and they usually have a little thing on of, if you visit X amount of roasters and get a stamp from these roasters, you can go back and maybe get a discount, or you can just go and pick up a keep cup from them. So I'd do that early doors and make sure you have one on you. I use my keep cup so often, or I certainly did pre-COVID. It's sat in a cupboard for a little while, but it's nice to be able to get it back out now that stores and coffee shops are accepting them again. So I would recommend investing in one, and especially if you're going to the festival. The number 4 is just a practical consideration, and that is keep a note of how many coffees you've had, even if you have to take a notebook and just strike off. Because it's so easy to just go throughout the whole day going, oh, I'd like to sample that, I'd like to sample that. And because they're slightly smaller than usual, you just kind of go, I've not had that many. And you have, trust me, you have. And you don't feel it immediately, but by the end of the day, you are buzzing, you've got a headache, it's awful. One year, I went on the day of my birthday, the festival was on my birthday, and then I went out drinking afterwards. Unfortunately, at the time, my favourite drink was espresso martinis. So I'd spent the day drinking coffee, not keeping a track of how many coffees I were. Bear in mind, people are handing out free coffee. So I'm just going, well, hey. Then I spent the evening paying for more coffee, effectively. I don't think I slept for 36 hours. It was the worst 2 days of my life. It was horrendous. I genuinely wanted to die. I could feel my heart beating through my chest. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be as stupid as I was and you're going to go and drink more caffeine after the event. But like I say, it's quite easy to have a hell of a lot of caffeine and not realise how much you've consumed. So do try and keep a note of it. Number 5 is take your time to check out the Coffee Masters. Now, I know we've briefly touched on this, so the Coffee Masters is hosted downstairs where people are competing to show off their coffee skills. It genuinely is fascinating. It's like any kind of high-end, I'm going to refer to it as a sport. It's not a sport, but it's like any sort of high, competition. It's amazing to see what these people can do at the top of the game, at the top of the career, And there's little benches, and there's genuine presenters who know how to keep the attention of the crowd and also know what they're talking about. So you'll learn something, and it's really, really fascinating. So definitely do take your time to check that out. And also, it's one of the few places you can sit down. So make the most of that as well. Number 6 is don't be afraid to talk to people. I wasn't particularly feeling it this year because I was just had a late night and just not feeling the crowds. But if you're in the right headspace, it's well worth just talking to the exhibitors, being like, oh, is this your first time? Is this? And you get to learn so much about people and about the industry just by these little kind of communications, these little interactions, and it really is worth it just to kind of learn more about the industry and the coffee and what people are trying to do to make the industry better and excel in their space. So it is well worth taking the time to talk to people. If you're a bit of an introvert, you can still enjoy the day without having to, you can just kind of go and enjoy the coffee. But you know, if you can bring yourself to strike up conversation, it is well worth it. Number 7, plan food ahead of time. I have been in years where they have had food and fine, but if have dietary requirements or a bit picky, you're in Shoreditch, the centre of Shoreditch. There's so many great places to eat. You're right by Spitalfields Market, which has food places all over the shop, and this is a coffee festival, so food is not necessarily high on the priority list. There may be something exhibiting there the year you go, but I would recommend planning ahead. Finally, number 8, have fun. That's what you're there for. If you've paid for it, you've paid to enjoy the day, and if you haven't paid for it, enjoy the fact you're there for free. And if you see me, say hello, and enjoy it. Hit those like and subscribe buttons, and if you have any more questions about the festival, what to expect, what you want to see, and even what content you'd like to see from us in the future, leave us a comment below, and we'll get back to you. Alright, take care, bye bye.